Conservation of freedom. How are we defining freedom? Freedom is the ability for an actor, an individual or body of multiple, to do something from their own free will. Freedom is potential. Someone who does more things isn't necessarily more free than someone who doesn't. Both still may have the choice to do the same amount of things. The net freedom of a system of actors can only transfer and cannot be changed unless acted upon by an unbalanced law, broadly, is constrained on what actors are able to do. The definition of a law is dependent upon the nature of the system. Physical laws: gravity, wave-particle duality of light, circumference diameter equaling pi. Legal laws: legality of murder, stealing, constitutional rights, etc. Conceptual laws: limits on what actors can even think of or perceive, not being able to see a new color. Modeled after the law of conservation of energy, this is Bob and Joe. As equal participants under the law, Bob has rights to determine his own life, and Joe has the right to determine his own life. Let's give the right to determine one's own life the abstract freedom value of 1. So, Bob's freedom plus Joe's freedom equals 1 plus 1 equals 2. Now, let's change it up. Let's say Bob becomes a slave to Joe and is stripped of rights. Bob has definitely lost freedom. Now, he would have a freedom value of 0. But Joe has gained the right to determine Bob's life in addition to controlling his own, meaning he has a freedom value of 2. 2 plus 0 equals 2. While the freedom of each has changed, the total freedom of the Bob-Joe system has been conserved. Well, Bob still has freedom, right? Even as a slave, he could decide to rebel against Joe. So freedom didn't even transfer at all. This is why the scope of a system is important. Our scope is within the confines of a government, and what is determined by its laws, that may alter freedom. If it had been only within physical laws, then yes, nothing transferred because legal limits are now considered abstract. What's an example of net freedom changing from an unbalanced law? In the confines of legal laws, an example would be a bill passed that prevents either of them from determining their own lives and giving that up to the government. But think about this still passes that freedom to the government, which is outside the Bob-Joe system. So if we take the entire universe as our system, this means that net freedom can never changing because all of these laws are contained within the universe. If a revolution occurs to liberate the people after some political tyranny, it may claim that it has freed the people, but this was at the expense of the freedom of those in power to control the lives of its people. So freedom hasn't increased. Technological innovations seem to increase freedom, but there is actually no transfer. Humanity always had the freedom to do something from an innovation. It's only a matter of time that we become able to. In other words, if something inevitably happens, then there's no transfer.